and welcome to another Unstoppable Stories episode. And I'm really excited. This is going to be fun. You can look at Celia's face and her background and know it's going to be fun. So a minute of why I do this. My company being Choosing Vibrancy, I think that we choose vibrancy because we make a choice, and that choice is sometimes easier than other times, right? So sometimes we get faced with hurdles, roadblocks, challenges. Lots of times they're, right here. Many times they're right here. And I think when we hear other stories of people that have faced their own adversities, their own challenges, and they have pushed through it and have come out on the other side of not just winning. It's really about learning and growing and, new tools to become more vibrant in life. And so that is my passion of why I invite people to share a story, because I think we learn and we relate when we hear other people's stories. So with that, no further ado, this is Celia Barsby, and she is in the UK, coming from across the pond. You'll hear that when she starts to speak. And she, she's an author, first of all. That's her beautiful book, The Garden Party. And she is a coach, a mentor for women. She's created a program called Free to Be Me, which you can kind of see behind her. And I love what you say, that you create a safe space for women to access their joy. So we met, we had a conversation, we met over networking, then we had a one-on-one conversation, and we had so many touch points of how we see the world, and certainly how we love to touch the world in through our profession. So welcome to this episode. I'm delighted, and we're going to be in a treat. So not only is Celia going to tell a story, but then she's going to walk us through an exercise that you can all do on your own. That's going to be a way to access more joy. Yes?
Yes.
So
beautiful.
Tell us a story that will inspire us.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Sherry, for having me. I love the idea that we are talking about being our unstoppable selves, and also that you touch on we learn through not so much adversity, but we learn when we are experiencing life's challenges. And you invited me to tell a story. You go, I've got so many stories. Which one shall I choose? So I'm going to tell you the story of how the garden party came into being. And I worked. I was working in a college with young people, 16 to 18, and feeling that there was more to life. I was very good at my job, and most of the time I enjoyed my job. I recognise I was working in my zone of excellence. I was very good and competent and all of that, but there was something missing. And what was missing was I was not fully in alignment with my soul purpose. There was something more that I wanted to happen. And to cut a long story short, what happened was, just before Christmas, I went upstairs and I said to I'd been journaling, and I said to my husband, I'm not going to resign today. And he went, okay. And I said, but I am going to resign after Christmas, and this is going to be the date of my last day in work. And that was a massive leap of faith. Lots of people said, oh, how lovely, you're going to retire. And I went, no, I'm not retiring. So in that leap of faith, I have set up my business, The Garden Party. I have written my book, which is my story. When you say tell an unstoppable, well, actually, there's so many little stories within The Garden Party. So I would love for people to experience that. But it's so much more than just my story, because what I wanted to do was inspire other people, other women, to go, oh, well, I can be free to be me. You know, I am not going to do the normal, hit a certain age, go and sit in a corner quietly. You know, I discovered my authentic, rebellious, quirky self, and that's what I talk about in Free to Be Me and in the Garden Party. And you know, it's a wild ride being unstoppable. And you know, the activity I'm going to, you know, perhaps we sort of dive into that, because I will weave more of that story into how we can continue to be unstoppable. We don't just go, oh, well, that's it, I've done, you know, I've done the thing. It's how do I turn up with the intention of being unstoppable every day, not just on the days when you know, feel like Superwoman, but on the days when you feel, oh, you know, how on earth can I be unstoppable today? So one of my it's not really an affirmation, one of my phrases that I like to refer to is, your deepest wound is your greatest medicine. And that for me moved me through to, oh, I have something to say. I, you know, by exploring our shadow side, that's when we uncover our magic.
Yeah.
So
I love that. And I think I just want to put an emphasis on what you said, because it's easy on the days when we wake up and we feel, you know, we feel confident, we feel clear. And sometimes it's because of we've been around people that have that we want to be more like them, we relate to them. And so those people, we can kind of piggyback on someone else's excitement and focus and all of that, you know, like if you've ever been to a conference in your line of work, that's the point of it, right? To get caught up on the coattails of people that are having the most success. We can do that for a while, and then it tends to fade. And so it's that, I think it's the ability to, on our worst day where we're having the biggest challenges or the least amount of confidence, that we can then find that unstoppableness inside of us. That's faith.
Oh, you're going to love this activity, Sherry, because, you know, when I started thinking about, I think, oh, what do I, you know, because I do anchor into, I mean, it's a technique, it's an exercise you can do multiple times. But as I was thinking about it this afternoon and just sort of really coming into what is the energy of this conversation, it was taking a slightly different route, and I was going, I really need to think about this. But of course, as we've started to talk, I can go, oh, that's why we're going to be talking about it like this. Okay, are you ready? Should we just dive in?
I'm ready. Okay. Got my paper.
So super simple resources. Okay. I have a piece of paper. Mine is very slightly thicker than printer paper, but a piece of computer paper is perfectly okay. I have a few felt pens, and I have some children's waxy pastel crayons, you know, Crayola, which we might get to. So the first thing I want you to do is take your piece of paper and fold it in half. Okay. And why are we doing this? Okay, this is part of getting grounded. This is sending a signal to your subconscious that we are going to do some work, and we just get ourselves really grounded, so that we are not distracted. So for those of you that are watching, you know, I invite you just to set aside a little bit of time, you know, turn your phone off and just, you know, go into a quiet space, because you're going to get grounded. How does folding a piece of paper get me grounded? I think about where this piece of paper has come from. It's come from a tree that was connected to the earth, and all of that energy is held in my piece of paper. And the next thing I'm going to do is talk about creating a safe space for the work that we're going to do, because we're going to do some quite, you know, to do some deep stuff here. You might go, how on earth are you going to do some deep stuff with a few felt pens and a piece of paper? So I'm just going to take, doesn't matter what color, I'm choosing to use red because I'm going to talk to you about the Chinese legend, which says that those who are destined to meet are connected by a red thread.
Do you want us to draw this as well?
You may draw this if you would like. I invite you to draw this if you'd like to, because what it's doing is creating a space, a visual representation. You might have a few twists in your red thread. And although that red thread may twist and tangle, it never breaks. And the really important thing here is that you are only responsible for your portion, your piece of the red thread. And in Free to Be Me, I talk about sovereignty, that being sovereign over our life means we have the right connections, we have people around us who are going to support us, and we have safe boundaries. And so by drawing a border on our page, we've just created a nice, safe boundary. We've created a nice, safe space to be doing this work. I'm just going to reinforce that fold, because what happens is we're going to work with the left side of the brain to start with, and the question that we're going to ask is, so we're going to be diving into the voice of our inner critic, our limiting beliefs. And so I'm going to just write my question at the top, which is, what stops me from being unstoppable? And I'm just going to write on the left side of my page. I am pausing to get the spelling right, but if you get the spelling right, nobody's
spelling is overrated.
Spelling is grossly overrated.
Spelling well is overrated, yes.
Absolutely. So what stops me from being unstoppable? And I refer back to my story. What stopped me from leaving my job a year ago? What might have prevented me? And so the invitation here is to allow the voice of your it is often the voice of your inner critic, but they shapeshift and they pretend to be other people. So these are the voices, these are the things that you might the sort of phrases that might come up for you. So, well, I'm too old to start being unstoppable and going out into the world. You might think you're too old. I've not got enough time. So Sherry, I do invite you, if you've got some phrases that are, what stops you from being.
It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened. Maybe so on the days when you struggle to be unstoppable, what are the things that you've learned to move through? Don't give too many clues away. So I've not got enough time. I've not got the time. Not got enough money. And do you see how you start to spot phrases that begin with "I'm too," "I'm not enough," "I've not got enough."
Yeah.
These are
people
the things.
Won't care.
People, that's a good Who cares? Who cares what you've got to say?
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, who cares anyway? So all of those sort of phrases, and in Free to Be Me, I talk about the power of the written word. And so if you are watching, you might like to just pause the video and just allow yourself, rather, I'm using quite big chunky pen so that you can see, but you could just write normally, and this stream of consciousness writing allows your subconscious to start waking up and start moving through. So we've got all of these these are all, you'll get to the point where you go, these are all old stories. These are all the things that somebody told me. As soon as I start getting an exclamation mark, I go, oh, yeah, I know, I recognize this voice. And we go, okay, there is the voice of our limiting belief. The voice of our inner critic, who is the voice of our fear, who has a really, really important job to do, and that's to keep us safe. So thank you so much for keeping me safe. But this, I'm doing the driving here. So we have all of these limiting beliefs on the left hand side of our page. Now we already hinted at where do we start? How do we start? And we start by action. And for me, the representation of action comes from my hand. I get to be hands-on. So I'm going to lay my hand on the right side of my page, and I'm just going to draw around my hand. So at this point, you might be feeling, you know, the perfectionist often shows up here. What am I doing? Just playing with pens. You know, I've got so much to do. I haven't possibly got time to just play with this. And in Free to Be Me, I talk about giving yourself permission. You know, and I think that's really important. I can't give you permission. Sherry can't give you permission. But when you give yourself permission, with Sherry and I as your cheerleaders on the sidelines, you know, that's when the magic starts to happen. So I get to be hands-on with all of this. How am I going to move the energy of all of these unstoppable, all of these reasons why I might be unstoppable? Well, here's another story, and this is the story of the magic cream. Okay, so when my children were little, I'm gonna have a little wax. I'm gonna have a little blue pot of magic cream. And magic cream lived in the kitchen, and whenever they, you know, they fell over in the garden, or they scraped their knee on their bike, or something didn't go their way, they would come and say, please can I have the magic cream? Now the magic cream actually was moisturizer with 2 drops of lavender oil in, but that's not the important point. The magic cream worked wonders. So we are going to apply some magic cream to our limiting beliefs. And the way we're going to do that is you're going to take some magic cream, and with your hands on, you're going to bring it over, and you're going to think about the energy of, and it feels to me, all of these, I'm too old, you know, I've not got enough time. This is all very spiky, you know, and I think for me, you know, I think it's always, when I start thinking about the way I speak to myself, these voices, and you go, oh, this, you know, it hurts, and it's sore. And this is why we need magic cream, to take that soreness away. And, you know, again, I invite you to take your time over this, but just try this exercise. This I found really, really a beautiful, amazing way of, when I'm speaking to myself, you know, my inner critic is saying some horrible stuff to, you know, and we do.
Yeah.
We say stuff to ourselves that we wouldn't dream of saying to anybody else.
Exactly.
And we're going to take this, and I'm just going to really anchor into my breath. I'm going to slow my breath, and I'm going to slow the movement of this magic cream, which is coming from my fingertips, oh so gently. And we're going to start moving that energy in a very soft and gentle, curvy way, and changing the movement of the crayon changes the energy of those words. That, I think, is, and you know, that is the magic of the magic cream. And at this point, I might also stop or pause and notice, was there a crayon, a color that you picked up? And of course, what's interesting for me is that I happen to pick up a green crayon here, which I notice is the color of my heart chakra, which is the color of love. So actually what I'm doing here is I'm just pouring and stroking and soothing all of these harsh energy with the energy of love. And that was not a deliberate, when you just intuitively take those crayons out, that is what you experience. I'm going to have a little pink line as well that feels quite twisty. So you can spend some time on this and just keep going as long as you need to just move the energy of those limiting beliefs, soothing them and saying, well, okay, what are the stories that, what am I claiming? In my Free to Be Me program, I talk about you are the bell. You have something to declare, something to announce. You think of those bells ringing. Sometimes they're an alarm bell, which you get to listen to. But I'm going to claim. What am I going to claim? What stops me from being unstoppable? It's well, I'm too old, I'm not going to have time. And you go, no, I speak my truth. I have a voice. I have a voice. And this is just what's coming up for me in today. Sometimes this looks quite different. It's about I speak my truth. And I'm noticing that I want to turn my page. That's always an interesting one, because sometimes we just get to shift our position a little bit and you go, oh, actually, no, I want to see things a little bit differently. I get to move. So I'm going to start some I am statements.
I wrote that too. I love I am statements. It's a big thing with me.
Because this is how I'm choosing. You talked at the beginning, this is choosing vibrancy. We have a choice. So I am choosing, actually, I want that. I am choosing. I'm choosing to do this. I give myself permission. I am choosing to be authentic. I am choosing to speak my truth. I'm safe to do that. I'm safe to you. I think this is a conversation I had with somebody earlier today, where we were talking about sort of that connection between our throat and our heart, where she was getting a lot of tension just right in between throat and heart. And you go, well, there's something on your heart that you want to say. So actually, how does our body inform us with all of that? And I would continue. I'm going to go with my phrase. I am authentic. I am rebellious, and I'm slightly quirky. That quirky even wants to go
slightly quirky.
Quirky.
Yeah.
Quirky. I even turned my page completely wrong. And then, do you have an inner critic? How are you getting on? How are you? Are you?
Oh, I've had a good time with it. I want to tell you what because I love doing something that's creative and motion, and it's more than writing words. I think anytime we can connect on an emotional level with our words, they're so much more meaningful. They move us more, right? Because words, our mind, if we just stay in our head, then there's no heart connection. So what you're talking about is feeling, the emotion behind the words. And so I love that connection. And I love that the other thing that really struck me is the way you took from the magic cream. It's funny because we have a product that in my household, my kids called it the magic cream because it's this anti-inflammatory cream, but we call it magic cream. The idea, the imagery of taking that and gently, moving through to kind of take away the power to subdue the energy of the critic. And I love that because if we think we're going to match and make a difference with these negative words, and we're going to come at it like, I can't feel that way. It's like saying, you know, I don't want debt anymore. Well, what do we focus on? The debt, you know. So it's that gentle soothingness of erasing it out that I think is really significant.
So I have one more little action that you're going to do to your page. And for those of you, oh no, those of us, hands up, for those of us who can go down the, well, it's got to be perfect route, we're going to really combine the energy. We're going to release all of the energy over on the left. I talk more in my program about, you know, the connection between the left brain and the right brain, and creative and masculine, feminine. This is my action. This is what I'm doing. And I'm going to combine those. And I'm going to combine them by scrunching my paper. Now, for some people, you go, oh, what am I going to do? Oh no. But what this is such a simple but powerful symbol to your, you know, the inner critic is the voice of fear. And you go, I've got this in my hands. I know what I'm doing and I am in control. And there's something really quite incredible that happens when we do that. And you go, oh, I can feel that out breath. And that really helps me as well get grounded again in that decision that, you know, this is my intention. My intention is that I get to be free to be me. And so that is my, and you know, normally I would this is an activity you can really take your time over. You might like to light a candle, and I talk about connecting with your spirituality. For me, I can make this an act of you know, of connection with spirit. What does spirit want to, you know, get? What do I want? What does spirit want to say to me? You know, and I think it's interesting. It's that I have a voice, I speak my truth. And then what action is required, and what am I choosing today? I might light a candle, have a glass of water, and actually have some music playing. You can make that into a connection with your spiritual self. You know, that again is you're free. You are free to be you. I'm free to be me. And we do things that feed our soul.
I love it. This has been awesome.
That's been fun.
Thank you so much. It's so fun. So fun. So
thank you.
I will have your contact information connected so that people know how they can reach out to you and follow you.
So I just would love, I love, you might have noticed, I love talking. I love talking to women about all of these, you know, conversations about what lights them, where are they finding challenges, and in the details that you're going to post, then I invite you, I always say, come and have a cup of tea in my garden. You know, we call it a discovery session, but it's really come and have a chat, and that's bookable through the website.
Fabulous.
So I would love you to come and see me in the garden.
Thanks, Celia.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Thank you for having me.